Welcome to Feel Better, Live Better. I'm your host, Stephanie Bridges, and each week we talk about simple ways to fuel your body, free your mind, and create the energy and confidence you need to live well. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome to Feel Better, Live Better. Today we are diving into emotional eating and, more importantly, how to break out of the shame cycle that usually comes with it. So, I was thin my whole life and I never thought of myself as an emotional eater. I could basically eat anything I wanted, and I did. I ate lots of sugar from the time I was a kid, eating sugar cereal for breakfast every morning and ding-dongs and cupcakes and Twinkies as snacks throughout the day, and being a teenager and going to 7-Eleven with my best friend to get peanut butter Twix and a big gulp and eating lots of Doritos. And even when I was in my healthy cooking era as a mom of 7 kids, I would make lots of treats that I thought of as healthy because they were made with fresh ground whole wheat flour and raw honey. But even those healthy treats were fueling my sugar cravings. It wasn't until I was in my late 40s that my weight started to slowly creep up. It didn't feel too urgent because it was only a few pounds, and then all of a sudden I found myself 20 pounds over my ideal weight, and nothing that I used to do in the past to drop the few pounds easily was working. Now, you might be thinking that 20 pounds is no big deal, and it probably wasn't. Most people would have looked at me and still considered me thin, but I didn't feel good. I felt bloated and achy, and I especially didn't love the way that I looked in pictures. I was feeling my age. Let's just say that. But the realization moment for me was when I tried to cut out all of the treats I was used to eating. And that was the point that I realized that I actually was emotionally eating and probably always had been. So sugar seemed to give me that moment of comfort and safety and perceived happiness that I always felt was missing in my childhood and my teenage years. But even now, as an adult with an amazing husband who I'm so happy with, it was just such an ingrained habit that to give it up felt like I was depriving myself of something. So, my friend, if you have ever eaten when you weren't actually hungry, or gone to the fridge or the pantry looking for something to fill you or to numb a feeling, you are actually completely normal. You're human, nothing is wrong there, but let's map out a way for you to feel better and live better. In this episode, we're going to talk about why emotional eating happens, why willpower doesn't fix it, and what the shame cycle looks like, and most importantly, how to break out of it. So let's first look at it from several different angles. So from a biological side, when you're under stress, the body releases a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol's job is to get you ready to deal with that stress. And one of the quickest ways your body knows to get energy fast is through sugar and refined carbs. And that's why in stressful moments, it's not usually broccoli that we crave, it's chocolate or chips or bread. If your meals during the day haven't had as much protein or fiber, your blood sugar is going to dip faster, which makes those cravings hit even harder. Protein and fiber are what gives your body that steady fuel, and without them, then you're going to be on this roller coaster, up with the quick energy and then crashing down, which signals your brain to go get more. So the craving that you feel isn't about being weak or lacking willpower. It's your biology doing exactly what it's designed to do under stress. Okay, so the emotional side of it, food isn't just fuel. For most of us, it's also comfort and relief and distraction and even a reward. Think about it. When you've had a long, stressful day and you sit down to a bowl of ice cream, your body and your brain actually do calm down in that moment. The nervous system gets a signal that says, oh, we're safe, we've got what we need, and that's why it feels good in the moment. So, of course, your brain wants it. Why wouldn't it? If something takes the edge off and gives you comfort or distracts you from what you don't want to feel, your brain is going to keep going back to that solution. And that is really important to understand. Emotional eating is never about the food. It's about the relief it gives your nervous system. And when you know that, you can start to be more curious. Not, why don't I have more willpower, but what was I really needing right then? And that shift can make a huge difference. So now let's look at the subconscious side. And that's an interesting part that most people don't realize. A lot of emotional eating isn't because of a conscious choice. It's old wiring. For years and maybe even decades, your brain has been building associations between food and feelings. Cookies equal comfort, and chips equal distraction, and a bowl of ice cream equals reward, and those connections get reinforced every time you repeat them. So when you feel stressed or lonely or bored, your brain doesn't stop to ask, what's the best option here? It just runs the automatic program it's learned. Food is going to fix this. And that's why it can feel like you're on autopilot. You're not weak, you're not lacking discipline, your brain is just running a well-practiced pattern in the background. And the good news is the brain can also be rewired. With awareness and some intentional practice, you can teach it new associations, ones that actually serve you. Emotional eating isn't weakness, it's survival. That survival wiring plus the conditioning that we've had all these years. And that's why shaming yourself will never fix it long term. Okay, so let's talk about willpower. We've all been told that if we could just have more willpower, the food struggles would go away, right? Like, if I could just resist the sugar, then I'd be fine. But the thing about willpower is it's not this bottomless well. It's more like the battery on your phone. You start the day maybe at 80 or 90%, and every decision you make, every stressor that you handle, every no that you have to say drains that battery a little bit more. By the time evening or that midday slump comes around, your battery's drained. And that's usually the exact moment the cravings hit, and all you want to do is have a snack to take the edge off of it. So now diet culture tells us to just try harder, to say no, just be more disciplined. And when that doesn't work, we don't question the advice. We assume that something's wrong with us. We think, I must not be strong enough. I just must not want this badly enough. But what's really happening is your body is doing what bodies do. When the willpower battery is empty, you can't just white knuckle your way through it forever. So when we try to tell ourselves, oh, I shouldn't want this, we're actually making the craving louder. The craving gets more power because now it's bad. And it's like telling the toddler not to touch something. It just becomes more irresistible. So what happens? You hold out, and you hold out, and you hold out until finally you cave. And then it's not just a small taste, it's like the whole pint of ice cream or the whole bag of chips because you messed up, so why fight it, right? And then comes that guilt and you feel awful and you promise yourself you'll do better tomorrow. And that's how the cycle stays in place. The problem isn't you. The problem is believing willpower is going to be enough. Willpower was never designed to be the long-term solution. It can be a short-term tool, but we want to really get to the root of why are you going for food and giving in the first place instead of just putting a Band-Aid on that symptom. So let's talk about what usually happens after we give in to the craving, the shame cycle. Here's how it looks. You have a craving, you try to resist it, and eventually you end up eating the thing. Right after that comes guilt, and the guilt turns into self-criticism. And the self-criticism turns into more stress. And what do we do when we're stressed? We crave more food. And that's the loop. Craving, eating, guilt, self-criticism, stress, craving. Shame disconnects us from solutions. The second you start believing that you're the problem, you stop looking for real answers. Now, you're no longer asking yourself, what triggered me? What was I needing? You're just beating yourself up, and you can never shame yourself into doing better long term. You can't hate yourself enough to love yourself. I want you to think about that. You can't hate yourself enough to love yourself. Every past decision was the best you could do with what you knew then. When you look back at last night's ice cream or last week's pizza, you can see that was the best tool your brain knew how to use at that moment. So shame isn't useful, but curiosity is. So instead of, what's wrong with me? Why can't I control myself? Just say, sweetheart, what do you need right now? It might be a break. It might be a hug. It might be you need a solution to a problem, but the solution isn't going to come at the bottom of an ice cream carton. So say we have two women who both eat ice cream at night. One says, "You're so disgusting. You have no self-control." She spirals into guilt and stress and then turns to more food to numb out the hateful feelings. And the other one says, "Wow, that was really interesting. I must have been needing comfort tonight. I think I'll call a friend and maybe talk for a while." She doesn't make it mean that she failed. She gets curious about the need, and that curiosity actually helps her adjust and choose different next time. So we've got the same action, eating the ice cream, but two completely different outcomes. One spirals and one learns. And that's the difference between shame and curiosity. Shame keeps you stuck. Curiosity opens the door to change. Okay, so if shame isn't the answer, what is? How do we actually break the cycle? Let me walk you through 4 steps that make a huge difference. So step 1 is awareness without judgment. Most of us eat on autopilot. The craving hits and we don't stop to ask why, we just answer it. But the first shift is to notice that trigger. What was the stress? Was it boredom, or were you tired? Were you feeling sad or lonely? Just pause long enough to ask, am I actually hungry, or do I need something else right now? And that one question creates that little gap between the urge and the action. And in that gap, you have a choice. Okay, step 2 is to meet the real need. If you're tired, maybe what you really need is to take a nap or take a short break from what you're doing, or just give yourself permission to go to bed earlier. If you're stressed, maybe you could go outside for a walk or journal through your thoughts. Take some deep breaths, venting out loud, either to yourself in the car or to a sympathetic listening ear, or just punching a pillow, dancing, exercising, anything to move that emotion through and out of the body. If you're lonely, maybe what you really need is connection. Send a text, call a friend. Don't wait for someone to reach out to you. You reach out to them. Food can still be an option, but it's no longer the only option, and that is super powerful. Okay, step 3 is physical support. This is the part a lot of women don't realize matters so much. When your blood sugar is balanced, cravings are way easier to manage. When it's not, your body's on a roller coaster. Spike, crash, crave, repeat. So things like adding protein to your breakfast, staying hydrated, eating more whole foods can stabilize things. For me personally, this is why I drink my green smoothie and I have clean protein daily. It keeps my body steady. So the emotional load isn't as heavy. And no, it's not about perfection. It's about giving your body enough support that you're not fighting cravings all day long. Okay, step 4 is subconscious release. This is where we deal with the deeper wiring that keeps bringing us back to food for comfort. So I want to guide you through a mini exercise that you can do right now. So if you're in a safe place, you're not driving, you can close your eyes if you'd like. I want you to bring to mind the last time you ate emotionally. Maybe it was late at night or in the afternoon when stress hits. I just want you to picture it. Now notice what feeling was really underneath. Was it guilt? Was it loneliness, frustration, stress, sadness, anger? Okay, I want you to take a deep breath in, and while you're holding your breath, repeat to yourself, I release all frustration with the belief that food is my only comfort. And go ahead and breathe out. Okay, deep breath in. I release all hopelessness with food is my only comfort. And breathe out. Deep breath in. I release all shame with food is my only comfort. Deep breath in. I release all guilt with food is my only comfort. Deep breath in. I release all blocks to nourishment with food is my only comfort. And deep breath in. I release all blocks to self-love with food is my only comfort. Deep breath in and out. Okay, every time you release something, you create a little more space for new choices. And this is just one layer. That's just one belief that we released. So when I do full sessions, we dig in deeper and we release more of those subconscious beliefs. So let's do a couple of fill-ups to replace what we've just released. So deep breath in, hold your breath. I'm so happy and grateful. I have more than one way to feel better, and I can choose what truly helps me. And breathe out. Okay, deep breath in. I'm so happy and grateful. I can care for myself in ways that actually leave me feeling stronger and calmer. And breathe out. And deep breath in and out. So let's wrap this up by talking about what success really looks like when it comes to emotional eating. So often women tell me, if I could just stop eating my emotions, if I could never do this again, then I would feel successful. But that's setting the bar to an unrealistic height, and it usually leads straight back to shame when it doesn't happen, and then you're in that spiral of why even bother? Real success isn't about never eating emotionally again. It's about noticing what's happening sooner. It's about breaking the cycle earlier. And it's about slowly building trust with yourself that over time you can handle these moments differently. And it's being okay if you decide, right now I'm feeling kind of stressed and I just really do want to eat this brownie. That's making a conscious choice instead of just doing it and not knowing why and then feeling terrible about it later. So every choice you've made so far has brought you right here. Even the choices you don't love were part of the process of getting you to a place where you're ready to grow. So now you don't have to see them as failures. You can see them as stepping stones. And today you get to choose differently. Not because you failed before, but because you're learning, you're growing, and you're ready for something better. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I'm sending you so much love. Thanks for joining me today on Feel Better, Live Better. If you're ready to take the next step, grab my free mind-body wellness check-in to see what's really standing in your way and how to move forward. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if this podcast connects some dots for you, please follow and share with a friend. Until next time, remember, when you feel better, you really do live better.